Dr. Lori A. Smith is a retired federal contracting officer, U.S. Air Force veteran, and one of the most authoritative voices in government contracting today. Over a career spanning decades across military and federal service, she exercised direct oversight of more than $143 billion in federal contracts, including the $128 billion Community Care Network at the Department of Veterans Affairs, the single largest healthcare contract portfolio in the federal government. Dr. Smith served 22 years of active duty in the U.S. Air Force across 6 bases on 4 continents. Today, she leads a dual-engine ecosystem built to serve women, veteran, and minority-owned businesses. She is a published author, hosts GovCon Clarity, a podcast and video series focused on the readiness gap in federal contracting, and holds a doctorate in business administration from National University.
Welcome to the MILCOM Founders Podcast, where we champion and celebrate military community business founders. In each episode, we will talk with a MILCOM business founder, learn how they work through various obstacles and opportunities in business and in life. I'm your host, Rob Loches. Let's meet today's guest.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MILCOM Founders Podcast. Today, we get to champion and celebrate Dr. Lori Smith, a veteran business owner, while hopefully educating and inspiring others. Welcome, Dr. Smith. Grateful to have you here today.
Well, thank you so much for the invite, and I'm excited to be here with you all as well.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Dr. Smith, on a beautiful morning, like this morning up here in the D.C. area, what's your ideal morning look like for something like that?
Wow, I'm no longer in the D.C. area. We came back down to Georgia, so I'm in Savannah. And so an ideal morning for me is really just getting up and just enjoying the splendor that, that is nature and all God has to offer. Our house backs up to a lagoon. So we're either going to have some wild geese, some ducks, some, ospreys, some alligators, some turtles. We're going to have something, deer tramping through the yard. And so just getting back and connecting actually with nature and the various sounds, So that's my ideal morning. But once I enjoy that, because we have these massive windows, I turn around and come in here to this office and I just start pecking away at the things that I need to get done in order to be able to, inform the community at large. So my typical day is not like most people. I am a workaholic. Nothing has changed since retiring. So it is what it is, right?
That's right. That's right. Very good. So how old were you when you first thought about joining the military, Dr. Smith?
Well, actually, I joined the military when I first entered the federal system. I entered the system in 1979 in high school, at Robins Air Force Base as an office clerk. And so got an opportunity to work there under the stay in school program, which I think is still a program that's available to young people today. And after I graduated high school, a fellow childhood friend, we went to church together. We both joined the reserves in the under the buddy program. And so that started my journey, into the military. And of course, after 4 years of reserves, I decided to go active. But that's the idea, was planted in 79 when I got to Robins Air Force Base.
Isn't that's a neat story? That's an unusual one, but I like that very much. And did your buddy stay in and retire with you, or did you retire?
No, the buddy did not stay in and retire, unfortunately, but I did stay in. I did retire. I retired in 2008 from the Air Force while stationed out in Turkey, but I did stay in.
Fantastic, and thank you for your service. That's amazing. I think I saw you were first sergeant, right?
Yes, that was one of the additional duties you had as a contracting superintendent, because the organization is typically so small, it don't rank having an actual first sergeant assigned. So once you become the superintendent, you take on that role and responsibility as well. But, we do the same thing as other first sergeants do in support of our enlisted airmen.
Got it. Okay. So there's so many things that you learned and then you continue to apply in your business from the military. But what about something around the leadership that you learned while you're in the military that you've applied the rest of your life?
The one thing I learned about leadership is that at the end of the day, our goal, one is a privilege to have anyone under us. That's a privilege for us to be able to pour and sow into the lives of others. But whomever that is, as a leader, our job immediately become preparing them to replace us. So as a leader, one of the things I always was mindful of is that the chair was never designed for me only to be sitting in it. So who do I play to replace me? And that either figuratively, or theoretically, who's the replacement? So anytime anyone comes under us, our effort should be developing them to be the success that is needed and required, not only for the mission and for the time and the season that you're in, but also for them going forward. And that was something I learned when I first came on active duty. I think I learned leadership growing up in the church. It was like this cumulative thing. And also that's when this spirit of the bug of entrepreneurship was put into me is in the church, with our chairman of our deacon board. And that was something he did to keep the young people, out of trouble and just viable candidates here for the community, right? But, it just compiled. And when I came into my first assignment at Myrtle Beach Air Force Base in 86, Master Sergeant Karen Armstrong, she was another African American woman. And she sat me down and she told me exactly what would be required for me to be successful in my career. But then also reminded me as I became successful, continue to stay humble and remember those who are on either side of you. And as you become a supervisor, those that would be under you. And I think that was like the epitome of the lesson for leadership because it fed into how I had been reared,
Yeah.
at home and in the church.
Well, to have a mentor like that, was she like an E4 or E5 that you're working with, or what?
No, she was a E7. She was the NCOIC of the receiving department at Myrtle Beach Air Force Base and supply squad.
Uh-huh. Fantastic to have a mentor like that. And your analogy about the seat that you sit in, not being made for you specifically, is a great analogy. We'll probably be using that later on today. That's for sure. No. I think you just answered a question that I was going to ask, which was, what's a great example of leadership? And I think the story about that NCO you just shared with is, she painted a picture for you and gave you a vision of what it will look like, what success could look like. That's pretty cool.
Yes, but then you also have those supervisors who are not at that level, and they too become an example. And so, as people, we have to have this wherewithal and this ability to own our own destination, even if it's controlled by a system or process, right? And so, I had, the same time I had her as a great NCOIC, well, my supervisor at that time, and I won't call his name because he still may be alive, he wasn't so great. But, what he was the example again of what I wasn't going to be. And it becomes this thing, it's like, hey, you can do better, you can be better. And I think when we talk about leadership and examples, uh, sometimes the person you look to as the example may not be the person that's right there in your sphere. I was very fortunate to have a Karen Armstrong that met me at the door. And because she met me at the door, she established, the path that I needed to take. And as I went from assignment to assignment, I was just always blessed and fortunate to have at least one person in my sphere or in my space that could carry the baton and push me further down the road. So I was very fortunate, but I was also self-sufficient. You didn't have to manage me. I was I was in my mid-20s when I finally came on active duty. So, but again, I had been reared in the church, so we become up a bit more mature, I think, in the time. And so I just never was a silly person. So you didn't have to manage me or check me. You give me an assignment, you give me a task, I'm gonna do that plus some. And so it became the standard, and leaders appreciate that. So I wanted to live the life that I needed to live to want to be a great employee or subordinate, and in that track, how do I continue to develop my own leadership skills? Because again, you got to be able to follow even as a leader. So it was always lived out, and so I was blessed to be able to live it out through my career.
Dr. Smith, I want to say thank you for sharing even your faith journey. I think that's so important,
Mhm.
and that we don't hide our faith, and it's so important. And I so appreciate you sharing that. It's
And you're welcome.
yeah, yeah. My wife and I only came to faith maybe 10 years ago, and I'll say Christ knew that we were going to need him,
Yeah.
and
No.
and, and he opened the door, and well, the door was always open. We just finally
Mm.
understood that, and so we were very blessed, and we've needed him many times since then. So I needed him many times before that, just didn't know it. That's
Yeah, see, my blessing was I was raised in the church, actually Holiness Church in Macon, Georgia, Jackson Temple Holiness Church to be exact, from barely 2 years old. So I always knew and understood the deity that is God, right? And also was always mindful that even if I wasn't right walking the path right, trying to experiment, that didn't mean he didn't care or that he didn't love me. He always protected me. And so throughout my life, even still today, I'm mindful that all that I am is because of who he is, and he's given me a heart for his people. And so I often tell people my spiritual and natural gifts are the same: the gifts of help, hospitality, and service. And so I try to operate in those throughout my life every day.
wonderful. That is wonderful thing. The It's interesting because you went in the Air Force, and now you have a PhD.
Well, I have a
So
DBA. And so I always, yeah, I started out pursuing a PhD, and then the war kicked off. So I couldn't kill two birds with one stone. So
okay,
I set it aside, and upon retirement, I started back up. But the government was paying me then to sit inside of the classroom, so I got a couple more graduate degrees. But I recently went back in 2018 to pursue it, and with the life, because life did take me down a journey, and to include COVID, loss of parent, loss of mom, loss of mother-in-law, loss of sibling, a lot of loss, and then health issues. And I just got back into the DBA program opposed to the PhD program because I actually thought it would be shorter, but probably should have put that PhD anyway. But it's a doctor. I like to, because people get testy with these extended degrees, these advanced degrees, and I don't want anyone to say, "Oh, Lori's a fraud." No, it's a doctorate in business administration, but I earned
that's
it.
cool. And what was your thesis with your DBA?
My thesis was the impact of cultural diversity training on the management of human resources management in an organization. So that was the this what I started out in. And the crazy part was when I started my dissertation, I didn't anticipate life. I didn't anticipate COVID. Didn't anticipate losing my mom, losing my mother-in-law, losing a sister, my own health, my husband's health. So you don't anticipate those things. So you have to take leaves of absence. So it stretched my time a little bit. But when I started out, I did not anticipate the actual issues I ultimately ran into, towards the end, especially when it was time to go and, do find the population and things of that nature. The promises that had been made was actually pulled back politically. But I found a way because it's about clarity and understanding what terminology means and the crux of it. So, but great study. I was very pleased with it when I realized what I had done because you work on it from chapter at a time. So sometimes you don't know what you've done till you get to that point. But I'm very pleased with the outcome.
Fantastic. So you were in government contracting throughout your Air Force career then.
I started my Air Force career in logistics and supply because when you go active duty from the reserves, you have to enter into the career field that you're in. So I started it in supply, and then I changed over, about mid-career actually into contracting, lived it out from that point.
Got it. Okay. And you finished up your time in service, and then you tell me about the rest of your career.
Well, after I retired from the military, I actually went and took a position with the Florida Long-Term Recovery Office, which is a component of FEMA. At the time, it was an independent office, not directly linked to headquarters. I think it is now. But I went down to Florida, and the wonderful thing about that, I'll tell you, another thing Sergeant Armstrong told me was always tell my story. Capture it, keep track of all your accomplishments, everything you do, give them what you need them to sign. So I was like, okay. So I always did that. So of course, when I transitioned, my resume was pretty set. And so I had took a position with CACI to go to Kuwait.
Oh,
I was offered one. My mom and my son, I was a single mom at the time, and they were like, well, hey, well, you never had to deploy. Why don't you just come home? Because I had spent that last half of my career overseas. So to be honest with my mother, I told her I had applied for a position and they hadn't nobody calling. That they don't call, I'm gonna take this job. Right. So of course, what happens right before it was time for me to go, get a midnight email similar to your note from Patrick McCurtain from the Florida Long-Term Office. He was budget. And he had sent the email and said, hey, you put in for a GS-12 position several months ago. He said, I have a 13 supervisory coming open. He said, I want you for the 13 supervisory. Here's the link, apply for it, but I want to interview you not under the 12 cert. So when the 13 cert come out and your name's on it, I don't have to interview you again.
uh-huh.
And so I was like, okay, how did you turn that down? And so here it was someone that had looked at my record, my resume, my credentials, the things I had done, and saw value and worth in my accomplishment and felt I could go to, just the next level. So as an E8 to transition out of the Air Force into a GS-13 supervisory position, that don't happen. It wasn't happening back then, especially you stay in the Air Force. So going
Mhm.
for someone to recognize that I was like, I was humbled. And so I went and did a work and I worked there for a few months and then finally, met a man at the well, he got married, got engaged, and we decided to move to the DC area a little bit more, but it started there. And then I did take a position with CACI to go work at Walter Reed. And it was like, in essence, one of the best decisions I made because it put me in their environment that showed me what my purpose would ultimately be. And within a year of doing that, I came back to government. I was the contracting officer for the Fort Belvoir Community Hospital. I was the CEO that facilitated the stand up at that building during the BRAC, the brand new hospital at the gate. That was me. And at the same time, we did we had the 2 clinic, that contract was renewed and I facilitated that transition and did that from '09 to 2013. And after that, I transitioned to the Department of Veterans Affairs Strategic Acquisition Center and ultimately, became a director of acquisition services and retired from there in 2000. But while the director of acquisition services, I actually am the CEO that stood up the care in the community portfolio that we get care from today. I was the actual CEO for the Region 4. And once I volunteered to take on that project, Phil Christie took over the whole portfolio for the SAC and portfolio was mine. So,
Probably met Dr. Gadsden somewhere along the way, or Colonel Gadsden.
yeah, quite a few of, yes.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great guy, that's for sure. And did you ever come to our little town of Occoquan, not too far from Belvoir?
Well, I would drive through. I went. A former colleague of mine, I think she lives there in Occoquan somewhere. But of course, we all going to hang out there because I don't know why the traffic always was bottleneck right there. Could never get there.
Okay.
And now that they've added the extra lanes, it's like more people is coming all the way down. So I was back up there in June of last year. I said, okay, now I know why I not really missing it. The traffic was crazy. I said, you added extra lanes and more people came. I
That's
can't
right.
more. But yes, but I did enjoy myself. We loved it. I was there from '08 to 2021. Yeah.
Okay. So well, Savannah, I think I would choose Savannah as well. From the thing, just to get my
Absolutely.
to decide to go. But anyways, the so you've been in the contracting business for years, and you were brave enough to join the military. Thank you again for that. But what made you brave enough and maybe a little crazy to decide you wanted to start your own business? I think every business owner is crazy,
Well, you know what? Maybe or a little. Now, I told you the entrepreneurship bug was planted in me as a teenager.
which is
So
really
as
cool.
a teenager, we had our own veggie stand. I literally used to go. Nobody believed I do outside stuff, but I did when I was younger because I wanted to be near my friends. But we would go get fruits, veggies. We would go pick peaches and things like that and take it to the farmers market. So that's bug was in me. And as I lived out my career, especially in contracting, what I saw a lot was people coming to the table. Because again, I'd been at the table on both sides. I've evaluated every line of a proposal, looked at every line of a contract, and in most instances, it was my name that signed that contract. So I always knew I know what winning and I know what is required. But during that time, I saw a lot of wonderful people, smart people, intelligent people had what it took in order to be successful, but they came to the table unprepared. How do
Mhm.
you change that narrative? And so I always knew I would transition, do consultancy work in some capacity. But then I was like, okay, Lord, in what capacity do you want me to do it? So it was always from a place of integrity. And so I am the person that's going to facilitate readiness from the inside out.
Mhm.
Just help you learn the nuance behind all the other stuff that everyone talk about. And so sometimes my approach to this is not the popular approach because it requires them to read. It requires them to, be accountable. I'm not the get rich quick girl. What I promise you is that if we pay attention, if we build what is required, and it don't mean start from scratch all the time. No, we just got holes we need to patch. Let's just fill these gaps. And once we do that, and then understand that even the mindset that is required to transition as well, then you could become more successful and more confident. But from a military perspective, we create and we build and we grow these leaders and these wonderful people. But when they transition, a lot of them struggle. Women, we are entrepreneurs of homes every day and Sunday too, but no one has told us how to equate that everyday activity to a business principle. And it can be. I tell people all the time, I can talk you through a procurement action and just doing grocery shopping from start to finish. And so you can understand the principle of contracting. Because again, everything we do requires us to identify a need, do some market research, whether it's figuring out what team these kids going to be on for little league or soccer, or which one we're going to sign up for,
Yeah.
proximity distance, that establishing scope, how much it's going to cost, that establish, hey, that we're going to meet your agreement. That's a contract done and deliverable. I take them, you give them this right here. They get trained, they get happy. I get a few hours of rest, right? And so
Mhm.
everything we do can be aligned to some business principles. But that's what made me want to get out here. And I'm blessed in that I am doing it in my own pace, not being rushed. And I'm doing it in a way that serve people. It's like, how can I create, content, create information that helps you, that train you at an affordable rate.
So take me from the top. Um, what's the name of your business?
I have an ecosystem. So I have Acu-Elligent, which is acumen and intelligent. Yes. Acu-Elligent is my government contracting consulting company. And my nonprofit is Sowing Our Seeds Empowerment. Because again, at the end of the day, we are all transitioning to be entrepreneurs. But then as entrepreneurs, a lot of us need rest, we need healing. And so we're leading while bleeding. So what I did was created the ecosystem that facilitate going from strategy to sanity, without losing.
Okay.
Feed you whatever warmth and compassion and wholeness and holistically that you need and empower you in that way. But hey, myself and a few of my other colleagues, we're going to give you the strategic frameworks and guidance that you need in order to move along in your your entrepreneurship journey.
And what does what's your like a membership? What's it look like, and how does it work? And
So for as it relates, as of right now, when we talk about memberships, there's no membership fees or things of that nature. So if someone wants to consult with me, again, depending on what their needs are, then we establish an agreement and pricing will be communicated and articulated in that way. Now, I am in the process of building a community called the Readiness Room. The Readiness Room will be a membership, but it's tiered. And I think the lowest tier is like $49 and the highest tier may be 99 or a little bit more than that, so don't quote me on it. But the content and the quality of what you get, again, is still representative of who I am. Because again, I'm not just going to give you GovCon stuff or some things of that nature. I'm going to give you everything you need. So you're going to need the GovCon stuff, but you also need entrepreneurship training. You also need soft skills. You also need, just so much more and how to curate it so that it fit you for where you're at in your station in life. And so the idea is to provide accessible information, great templates, tools and resources that can literally be downloaded and utilized with minor edits or tweaks. But along the way, you're educated and you're communicated about the intent, the purpose of that information, and how to best apply it. So it's no more blindness. So the Readiness Room, they will be launching within the next 90 days. I also have a Facebook group for Sowing Our Seeds. Anyone can join that community. We're in the process now of creating some great content and, again, instructional information that you can just come to the room and get for free. And of course, on my posts on LinkedIn, I'm trying to make sure that I'm giving people information that can be used and doing so with integrity. Let's tell the truth. Let's not quit. Just keep painting the brush that, hey, it's you just need this and we can go. No, you need a few other things as well. But let's be honest about that and let's structure that. So a lot of great stuff that I'm in the work, having to work that is going to be launched within the next 90 days to include my own proposal writing platform. But it's from my perspective as a former contracting officer. So not only do we do the typical proposal writing, scraping compliance matrix and things of that nature, but we do it from a place of value, experience, teaming, and responsiveness. Whereas then you're able to come in and do an analysis and identify potential teaming partners. And you're rating a score as to how you all fit together. And now let's make our legit teaming arrangement or a teaming agreement or some contracting agreement with real numbers and real meat to them so they can be held up. And then I think the key about it is there's this opportunity. The part of the tool is that, we can help you with assessing your probability of success on a win perspective based on your response to whatever you're writing. Again, a whole lot of people may be as great as you are, but at least you go in feeling more confident at the end of the day. So a lot of great tools and things, and I'm trying to keep that at a price point, again, that's affordable. I'm mindful that, we got to be in business. The business is to make money, not lose money. I'm mindful of that. So I do trust in the Lord that as these projects and these products come to fruition, people will, one, identify and know the value because they know me. Because I tell people I am a multi-million-dollar conversation in an hour if you pay attention to what I say once it's over. That's real talk. Yeah. And so how do I package that? And then the final product that I have that we're in the final phase of putting together, final two, I actually have a book coming out called Rising Beyond the Shadow, and that's my own memoir. But then I'm putting together a GovCon master library. I have about 9 or 10 projects that I'm going to be putting together as a book set. And it's about various government contracting related topics. And again, the book cost and that people will pay is nominal. However, the information you get out, the transformation that it provides, you won't have to, you pay that amount there. You don't need to call a lawyer or any other consultant unless you just need me to hold your hand for nuance. I become a comfort person at that point, of course, for a fee, but the content is just that great. So I'm very excited about what I'm in the process of doing. But yeah, right now there are free opportunities to be near me.
So when you're working with these business owners, these entrepreneurs that have ideas, where in the cycle are your ICP, your ideal client profiles? Are they idea phase, or are they where are your ideal clients in there in the growth phase of business?
Well, to be honest, I actually have had them in various phases of the growth stage because, again, if we speak truth to entrepreneurship and the journey that most of us have been on, a lot of folks jump in head first because somebody told them to do that. So and so what they're in, they call themselves having a business, but it's always a struggle. And for them, it still is identified as hustle, but hustle is not a business model. Is it a short-term emergency posture we have? Absolutely. But that should not be what we're doing all the time or what we call it all the time. So we have talked to people and had folks reach out to me that have been in business supposedly and have won government contracts 13, 14, 15 years. But when you communicate and I talk to them, again, you're just doing surface work. It is still a struggle and you're not maximizing or realizing the value you can from that. Because again, they're just duplicating what someone done told them to do in order to be successful. But there are too many people still don't understand the nuance behind contracting. And that's why the impact with all of the different changes last year was very, that hurt a lot of small businesses.
Yeah,
It
We
did.
find two of them went out of business. And because again, we had gaps in the infrastructure and the gap and the changes revealed the gaps. And
yeah,
so once the
yeah,
orders started coming in, they couldn't survive. So
yeah.
it's various phases, but we do like them early on because again, at that point in time, we're able to level set and put you in a direction and give you what you need in order to be successful. But again, success is only catered upon their own individual level effort.
We should write a book called Hustle and Hope. Hustle and hope will only get you so far, which I
Real quick.
completely agree with. Yeah,
We're,
absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So how important do you see it, coachability for your clients? In our world, oversimplified, we're CFOs, we provide financial leadership teams. And what we find is that having a coachable CEO client that we're working with is paramount. Um, what are your insights on that? What are your thoughts on that?
And I speak first to myself. It is extremely important that we are coachable. And I even have to check myself because, again, I'm a solopreneur. And what I'm mindful of is that, hey, there are things that I may have knowledge about, but it is not that's not my career anchor. And so I'm going to go outsource that information, but then I still got to be engaging. So I am trying to get better at that even myself. But I have had clients that you go through this whole phase. You let them know everything they need. They can sit there with you, long as you right there near them. Man, they're just ready to go. But when it's their responsibility to go work the process, then they fall behind. Because you put so much into it. So it is very important that you're coachable because that's the only way you're going to realize any value on what you're rendering out as a resource. So it's like you're paying for these services, you're only going to get as much as you put in. And so if you come and pay attention to what we're saying, you pay me a few $1,000s, at the most, man, we're setting you up for millions and $1 billion opportunities for real, for real. And you don't want to go get set up for that because it's not happening as quickly as you want.
Yeah.
See that, I'm mindful that God is a God of suddenly, right? Hey, but if you have a position yourself to be able to hold that kind of greatness and those blessings, hey, do the right thing, learn the lesson, let's walk this course. But it's extremely important for us to be coachable because otherwise all we're doing is paying out money. And
That's right.
you can't write a bad review because you didn't do your part.
Yep.
So it's like you chalk it up.
Yep. So, doctor, in the day and age of AI, what are your thoughts on how this might change our world or our world as far as professional services, government contracting? How do you see that playing out with your business and your clients? And I know it's a big, crazy question, but um,
and we are leveraging AI. Government is leveraging AI in the use and usages every day. They're testing it out now, right? But what I think is still is going to be critical is that there's this rush to move the human element, and not just a human element, is the qualified thought on the other side of this AI component out of the way, and that will be the thing that is going to hurt a lot of agencies the most. So even with the usage of I have friends that are still in, and they told me, they was like, when you talk to your client, let them know we need them to start making sure this stuff is about them for real, for real, for real, because a lot of us don't understand. If I'm out here selling you prompts and all of y'all use the same prompt because you don't know how to talk with this thing, you ain't went behind the system and set it up to tell it, don't be lying to me, give me straight facts, don't use this, don't use that. If you haven't set it up for that, everybody got the same answer in essence, just with your different names because y'all use the same prompt. An opportunity to leverage efficiency once you learn how to compel that system to do that. And so I love AI. I understand what it is. I lean closer. I love Perplexity a little bit more than most the other ones because I like the idea of it providing me sources, to go along with my information that are verifiable. And I also love it when they go out and bring my own words to me as a source. I say, oh, girl, go on, but it's still learning how to make it think. So it's here to stay. Even now, if I recall correctly, I think last week or a little while ago, the government is actually looking at bringing in AI, leveraging Copilot in helping with evaluating, I think, proposals or something of that nature. So again, it's something that's here. Let's learn how to make it work for us to become more proficient as well as efficient in it. And that's how we facilitate job security. But if we allow this standard quo or it not being compelled to think, like has happened in the past where we're just going with, hey, this letter said do this right here. So that's what we there was no thought, there's no humankind, there's no nuance, there's nothing, no context behind that. So you get a generic response. So will it shift? Absolutely. But I think the level set will be, hey, let's pause this a little bit. We still need smart people to be involved in it.
Caring people too, smart and caring people.
But exactly.
I think that I might suggest that the soft skills have become more important because we have these tools available. But you can have all the tools in the world and still not be able to build a car or a house
Mm-hmm.
or a successful business. And for us, it's oftentimes with AI now, it's no different than having QuickBooks or whatever else. You have all these tools, and we can provide all the data to our clients. And then the client says, "Okay, thanks, yeah, great." But how do we lead them? How do we help them achieve financial success? Quite frankly, and it's usually by what I say now is it's can we teach the client? Can we coach the client? Can we collaborate with them? And can we challenge them? And that's all based on trust to me.
It really is.
And because you can use all that AI in the world, but can I get Joe to understand or Jill that, hey, we've given you all this data, but now you need to make the choice. And here are the choices at hand. Which one do we believe is me and the client, think is best for you right now? And the whole concept of waiting, I'm so the people who hesitate or wait to make decisions usually don't make it through Doge or these other. You got to make those hard choices, right?
Yeah.
And I think it takes that leadership from someone like you, Dr. Smith, to be able to coach them. You need to do this, and you should probably do it now versus waiting. And I don't see AI being able to provide that leadership yet.
No, AI won't be able to do that. You're absolutely correct. So what we do, and even in leveraging, utilizing AI, is really showing people how to do it. So I have another colleague and I And we work collectively with founders to help them truly understand, who they are and what is your ecosystem? What does it look like? What is your North Star? What is your mission? What is your role? What is your function? What are you trying to do? And so once we help them truly understand, because again, a lot of founders, a lot of these business owners, we went and we copied what somebody else shared with us and told us to do. So we doing what they say do because that worked for them, and we haven't given much thought to what is required and needed of us. And because when I retired, I had a business coach. I did a business coach for 2 years. I do visibility coaches. I go out and get the things that I need. But then I'm also mindful that you may be teaching something that does not work for what it is that I need, but I'm gonna get value out of what it is that I need from you because I came to you for a purpose. I've already done my own due diligence. So I knew I need a part, some, and none of what it is. And if it's none of it, we ain't talking. But you already understand what it is that you're gonna get from that person. That's for me. So we bring our clients in and we go back through making sure it's this old basic clarity session, making sure you understand who you are and who your target clients are and who what's your most viable product, who is your ICP. Make sure they understand it because again, we copy so much. We're only just doing what someone else has been doing. We don't know that that's our story. And that's why it doesn't click. So when you send in a proposal to an evaluation, no, the evaluation team is not resonating with you because your story lacked feeling.
Yep.
Your story lacked integrity. There was no human connection, no human kindness in integrated in your story, and evaluators and people know that. So it's like, oh, okay, so can they really do this is what they're telling. And so we got to get better at that. But you're right on the soft skills component. That's why soft skills training is actually integrated in everything that I do. Because at the end of the day, the entrepreneur, there's some entrepreneurship skills you need to know. There's some goal setting skills you need to know. There's some conversations with difficult people you need to know. Yes. And so we get the stuff we need and integrate it. And that's how we become whole and fill gaps. Not saying it's going to be perfect, but guess what? When change comes or something comes that requires you to pivot, that's a less sharp turn
That's right.
because I'm prepared for it. And so when I'm postured to do that, man, okay, that wasn't so bad. Okay, I got to do what? Okay, dust that off. Let me fill that up. I got that. Boom, we ready to go. Let's move forward. But it is very important people learn AI not for the fact of it doing something quicker for me, but you need to learn it so you understand why it's giving you the output that it is and what its role and how flexible it can be on your behalf. But it still need to be your story. Still
Yep,
need to be.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Dr. Smith, we're running out of running short on time here, but real quick, couple questions. What's an insight you'd want to share with other veteran founders to help them succeed in this crazy world we're in today?
Wow. One of the things that I want to share with other veteran founders is that, man, you have earned your right to be at the table. We are already prepared for such a time as this. Don't
Yeah.
second guess anything that you have already accomplished. Only thing you need to do is link the language we know with the language they're using. Like I often tell people, you get caught up and wrapped around, oh, the system, the system. I thought, okay. In our world, that was an org chart. Okay, let me again. There's some layman's terms for it, and so that's what I want them to know. You're already you have everything that it is that you need. The resources are available to you. Is understanding how to appropriately leverage those resources for your advantage. But yeah, you're ready for the table.
That's
So
right.
just calm down and let's do this.
Absolutely. And what's a question I haven't asked you or should have already asked you?
Wow, you asked some great questions, and so I think they went directly to what it is that we were talking about as relates to leadership. So I don't necessarily know that there's a question you did ask. You asked me what led me to doing this here. You asked me how I got started in it all, and we've had some great conversations. So I think you've
Yeah.
asked quite a few questions. So
We sure can.
Not on much.
No, that's right. The last question. What resources would you share with veteran founders that they should read, listen to, absorb, go to, whatever the case may be? What are some good resources?
Well, there are quite a few great resources. If you're a veteran founder, one- and I had a list of different books that different persons had wrote, and I don't even have it right here with me, so I do apologize for that. But what I will say is that the resource for everyone to use for free is YouTube. They're on YouTube. If you one now, what you can use AI for, I do recommend Perplexity. Have Perplexity identify a list to you of the top experts in a particular field or a particular industry based on an area that you want to learn more of, because it will help you create a very good list. And then what you can do is go out there on YouTube to see, okay, who has information and content out here that I can absorb. Be mindful that you want to be specific about what you ask for, because you want it to be no nonsense. Now, if you want to know something about AI, who is it? You got Sabrina Romanoff, you got Dr. Aaron Jocks. They're out there on Stack. And then a couple of other young folks that are out there. But is a great resource for just finding out information. Oh man, anything you want to learn about out there, you can find that on Stack. And they are giving you no nonsense, legit information and no cost, but it's quality, because they already and they have said it. Hey, we've already earned our keep, so now we want to give back to people, and that's what you want to look at. But follow the resource that's applicable to your career field, and there are so many places where you can find legitimate information. And I would just take advantage of the legitimate information that's readily available to you.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Smith, thank you so much for spending some time with us today, and in honor of your time and insights and everything and your energy. And we're going to donate $100 to the MILCOM Founders Scholarship Fund.
Thank you.
And
so
that goes
much.
to a child of a military founder. So
Thank you so
we really
much.
appreciate it. Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on the MILCOM Founders Podcast. If you know a MILCOM founder with a story to share, reach out to us at milcomfounders.com. For each guest on our show, Undegree Financial donates $100 to the Dick Wojcik Veteran Entrepreneur Scholarship Fund, supporting education for children of a MILCOM business owner. Stay ready.